to be here with you on this beautiful yet eerily hazy Tuesday night here in the Pocono Mountains. We have a great show ahead, but we have to thank our sponsor, brokersrealty.com of Stroudsburg. Without them, we could not come to you every week with a great fun show. Brokersrealty.com can help you buy, sell, auction, or rent property here in the Poconos and beyond. They do it all over the country, actually. So if you have any of those needs, make sure to check out brokersrealty.com of Stroudsburg and ask for Sarah Smith's Cats. Hey, Sarah, how you doing tonight?
Hi, Holly. I am hanging in here. We've had quite a week this week. And yes, real estate is still crazy in the Poconos. So all I can say is if you are interested in listing a house, now is the time.
You know what I've been noticing? So many huge, really expensive houses are on the market all of a sudden.
Yes, like all of a sudden.
1.4, 1.5. I see them come across my Facebook page. But the one that really kills me is the little cottage down the street in front of Fifth Street Pond is now on the market for $250,000.
Yes, it is.
It's smaller than my house.
It is.
So,
it is.
Where is that?
I'm waiting for it to sell.
Literally right between the Township Building and Remax. It's a little white Cape Cod itty bitty cottage on a
cute little house. Yeah.
Piece of property.
I do, though. Middle of August, I have one of your neighborhood houses coming up that is a beautiful all brick craftsman home with stone patio and hardwood floors, and it is going to be amazing.
Awesome.
Amazing. So, hi, Aaliyah. How are you today?
I am getting better. I hurt my back over the weekend and I have just been kind of under the weather, but it is getting better. On Sunday, I could not even get up. So I could not walk. So I, did all the things and things like that. So it was kind of like the lost weekend, and I wore the same shirt for like 3 days and, stewed in my own filth and was Leo, I have a 7-year-old, so, Leo was more than happy to play his tablet and hang out with mom and watch movies and take care of me and stuff like
awesome.
that. Starting to feel a little bit better. This heat does not help. I am not a hot weather person. I am so excited about this show because we're talking about farming, or as Holly calls it, farmtastic things today with 2 local farmers. We're going to talk about how farming is just different in this day and stage and age of what we've just come through, kind of what they do, what they produce, if you can go there. I see Elmer has joined us in the background amongst other farm type animals. Hello, Elmer. Let's make him famous.
Well, Elmer loves Doritos. So we are hoping that Frito-Lay will get a load of this and
we need to
put on Elmer.
Let's have a Dorito donation drive. The triple D for Elmer. My son would love that. He would be more than happy to be like, oh, I love Doritos. The donkey loves Doritos. It's all good. So, Jen, since we're talking about you and your donkey, why don't we start with you? Tell us a little bit about obviously who you are, where your farm is located, what do you produce, what do you sell, do people come and visit, like all that kind of good stuff. And then we'll go on to Sandy, and then we'll get into kind of how what farming is all about and what it's. So introduce yourself and tell the world your deal.
That sounds great. Yeah, my name is Jen Smith. I own Jackson View Farms with my husband and our 3 kids. We are located in Stroudsburg, but we're actually in the outskirts between Reeders and McMichaels.
Okay.
So we have an 86-acre farm. And
wow.
Yeah, it's pretty big. Keeps us busy. We raise Hereford beef cattle for beef. We also raise Katahdin sheep for meat. And Elmer is our guard donkey for the sheep. We have a very large coyote population around here, so he protects everybody. We also
kick him?
He will actually pull them. He'll pull them through the fence and stomp them. So
really?
They are no longer.
Oh, Elmer! Go, Elmer! Elmer's powered, but runs on Doritos. We love it.
I need an Elmer at my house.
Elmer needs T-shirts. We're gonna start a marketing campaign. He needs T-shirts. He runs on Doritos. And so we have the donkey. What's the sheep's name behind you, or do you not name them?
No, they are. My kids name all of them. So that's Oliver, wherever he went.
Oh, Oliver.
He is our ram. So
Okay.
he lives with all the females during the year, with the adult females. We have a lamb pen with the young ones from the spring that are still here, growing out until they're ready to go to be butchered.
So people can come to you, and obviously, because you raise cattle, beef cattle, I'm assuming you sell it.
Yep.
So can people come? Like, if I wanted to come and buy meat, do you have a stand that's open, a store? Like, how does that work?
So that's actually something very exciting. We are opening officially our farm store on Saturday, the 24th.
Wow. Okay.
Yep. So we will have beef available. We will have pork available. We also raise chickens for meat, as well as we have laying hens for eggs. So we're taking orders for broiler chickens. We raise turkeys for Thanksgiving. And
okay.
the sheep, the cows, and the poultry. And then we raise a lot of hay and grain, mainly for keeping the cows and the sheep happy.
I was just going to ask you, because of all the acreage, are you able to produce the feed? Because I would imagine that because of the prices of everything has gone up. I mean, I know you're probably, you're supplying things to the public. I'm sure for both of you, the supply. So if you had to ship in corn or ship in grain or ship in hay, and forgive my ignorance if I don't say it right, because I'm not a farm. I have no idea. I know I like the stuff to eat it or come and visit it, but I don't know. So it is nice, right, for you, Jennifer, that you're able to produce what you feed.
Yep.
Animals. Wow, that's amazing. And I would imagine that keeps your pricing, or once you open your place, it'll be able to keep it, because so many, like if we go to a regular big box store, right, that it's exponential. It's the inflation, can't help it. It's happening, the price of fuel and everything, and to get food to, I'm assuming if it's a commercial farm, a big farm that, is expensive, right? Sandy, I'm going to bounce it to you. First of all, introduce yourself. Where are you located? What do you sell? And of course, we're going to get more into all of it, but just give us an overview and also answer that question. Are you able to produce the feed and things like that I know you sell all kinds of stuff, eggs and poultry and meat and stuff like that. So get into it, Sandy. Let's hear from you.
Okay, so I'm Sandy Haley. Myself and my husband, Josh Peischer, and our daughter, Isabella, we own and run Cherry Valley Farm, which is located in Stroudsburg. So we're kind of on the opposite side of town or the county from Jen. We do not have enough land here to make our own hay or grow the feed that we need. So unlike Jen, we usually have to buy hay, sometimes from Jen, and buy our feed.
That. I was just going to ask that. It's like, Jen, do you supply? Okay.
We do. We kind of go back and forth a little bit, actually. We do have a hay field up at the farm in Bangor where the mama cows are. And thankfully they did cut and bale that. That is up in the barn right now, which is nice. But unfortunately, it goes pretty quick when you have, cattle in the yard. Like Jen, we raise beef cattle. We raise Simmental and Simmental Hereford crosses. Like Jen, we show cattle. And we also have the vegetable field back here. 3 acres for vegetables, and we're still planting even now. Like Jen, we have a small farm store. That's mostly where the freezers are for the retail beef, the retail pork. We did not do chickens this year, so if you want fresh chicken, you got to go to Jen's farm versus mine. But vegetables, that's kind of our big thing this time of year, is actually the vegetables. We have beautiful, beautiful heads of cabbage right now.
Oh, I love cabbage.
Summer squashes are coming on. String beans are coming on. Tomatoes, we picked our first tomato the other night, so the tomatoes are starting. We're just.
And we'll get more, and we'll get more into the specifics of what you sell. And of course, we'll post everything, or we'll have you post so people can find you and your hours and all that kind of stuff. Can you explain to me, what is a Simmental cow? What is the difference between a dairy cow, a Simmental cow, a beef cow? Is that just another name for it, or?
Well, yes. So the Simmental cattle is a breed of cattle, just like Jen raises Hereford, and she's got a couple Charolais. She does have a Holstein or two over at her place. Holsteins are dairy breeds. Herefords are beef breeds. Simmentals are beef breeds. Simmentals were originally, they're a European breed, and they were originally a dual purpose breed for beef and dairy. They're known as the working mothers of the cow world because they typically can keep a pretty impressive udder while maintaining their weight. So they tend to not have a lot
I
of
like to
problems when
keep
they're
a pretty
traffic.
impressive udder too.
Yeah,
But
don't we
anyway,
all?
yes.
mean,
I
come
mean, who
on.
doesn't want to? So,
But they tend
Sandy,
to
you
maintain
answered that
their
one
weight.
question. Oh,
Yeah,
go
go
ahead.
ahead. Yeah, I
You
was just
answered
gonna
that
say they
one
tend to.
question. So my question is, how does a farmer, I think because we all have ideas,
I'm
like we watched
scared of
Little
Leah.
House, we grew up with Little House on the Prairie and all those shows and all the things that we watched, you know what I mean? We have like a very ignorant idea of what it must be like. It is back-breaking work. It is 24/7, like early morning, you know.
Especially if you have roosters on the
Yeah,
field, especially if you have roosters in the field.
The
right.
donkey wakes us up as soon as the lights go on in the house.
Yep.
A donkey. Okay.
And the roosters are no better. But here's the thing, Aaliyah, and I know it's the same for Jen. We don't just run our farms. We also work full-time jobs. Jen works at Santa Fe. Her husband's a full-time teacher. I'm a full-time insurance agent, and my husband works at UPS. Tomorrow, for example, he goes in at 3:30 tomorrow morning to unload trucks. So you're not only working your regular, day-to-day jobs for your paycheck, but you're also out here doing this in 90-degree weather. You're weeding, you're tilling, you're planting. You can't see the cows there across from me. Jen has the better view of her paddock, but you also have, especially this time of year, it's cattle show season. So we're washing, we're tying up, we're blowing, we're clipping, we're getting ready for that. You're planning things with the butcher. You have to schedule these things ahead of time. You can't just go, oh, I want to have a steer butchered and it goes to the butcher. You have to plan these things, especially since the pandemic. Time is tight. And it literally is from the time you get up in the morning, pretty much to past the time you go to bed at night, because I don't know about Jen, there's a lot of nights I go to bed going, God, is that gate shut? Is the fence plugged
I'm
in?
sure.
The number of times
Yep.
the number of times I've sat on my porch on my lunch break from work and, oh God, the bull's in the woods because he walked out the fence because somebody didn't plug it in. You got to go catch
You
an
live
animal
on
in
an
the middle of the day.
extremely busy road because my
Except
childhood, we
right now
lived in
it's
Cherry
not.
Valley. What's that?
Because the bridge is closed by the
Oh,
Glenbrook
still.
Golf Course. Still,
Oh, still.
yes. So
Okay.
because of that, our road thankfully is not as busy as normal.
Yeah.
But yes, my horse ends up in the street. The cows.
When we grew up, we lived in Cherry Valley for a spell, and that's where my bus went. And I always was like, what a beautiful place, what a beautiful farm. So it was like my view every day driving past your farm back to and from school. I was in middle school at that time. And I used to like hold my breath and be like going around the corner, like on a winter, because it is a sharp turn. But
You
like,
mean that corner right there?
yeah, that corner right there. Beautiful, guys. If you have not been to this farm, it is like iconic. It is beautiful. Christmas time. I hope you get to do the festival again.
Yes,
or you're
we do. We are going to do it again.
But,
Yep.
yeah, my son really, really loved that, and of course, we'll have you back to talk about that in the fall or as it gets closer to the holidays.
Yep.
So, Jen, you're balancing a full-time career. Your husband works. I don't know if you have children.
3.
You have 3. That's right. They name the animals. How is life different post-pandemic farming? Because obviously you had jobs before, you had all the things, you were doing the farm. How has that changed the farming business for you personally? And then we'll throw that question to Sandy. What has changed because of the pandemic? Now you can supply your own food, but I'm sure you have other, challenges of product not coming in or, things that you need.
The hardest part for us, and it's still going on now post pandemic, is scheduling with the butcher. That has been the most difficult thing. We have waiting lists for so many different things that we sell here with meats. And, there are people that come to us, they just want a few cuts of meat, a couple steaks, a couple roasts. Very easy for us to supply. Then we have people that would like to buy in bulk, a quarter or half a cow at a time, which is great. But we have to schedule that out. And we've had our steers that get butchered this fall have been scheduled since fall of 2020 because the butcher is that far booked out.
Wow.
These calves were only 3 months old when we booked the day that they were going to go
right.
to get butchered.
Now,
It's crazy.
Is that local that you send it to butchering for butcher, or is that you have to? It's place, or what's the local butcher scene? What's the local butcher scene? I have no idea. Like,
So there's a few butchers around this area, and Sandy knows exactly. I mean, we would talk to each other like, oh, is this butcher full? Yes, this one's full, but I heard this one might have spots, which is nice having fellow farmers. We can all kind of work together. Hey, I'm not taking a steer this week. They have an opening. Do you have one that's ready to go? It all depends on, as a farmer, if you need them to be USDA stamped or not. So if you have someone that buys a whole, a half, or a quarter of a cow, for example, if you can split that between the people that the whole cow goes in one shot, you don't have to have a USDA stamp. It's just a custom butcher, and that increases the amount of places you can take it to. For the stuff that we sell by the piece, so you want to come buy a T-bone steak or you want to buy a chuck roast, we have to have all of those stamped to follow all of our USDA guidelines.
right.
So that's a completely separate set of butchers that we can go to. And they seem to be the ones that are so full beyond capacity.
And I
Jen,
would imagine that there's not. Oh, go ahead, Sarah. Go ahead.
do you have a co-op between the farms in the area? Like, have you actually set up a co-op, or is it just because you've made friends? Because it seems like maybe if there was a local co-op, it would make life so much easier for all of you.
Yeah, it's all just been word of mouth right now. I don't know if Sandy has any other thing to add about the co-ops, but us ourselves, we've just been our own entity since
Mhm.
we
Same
got
here.
here.
And it's been the same for you with the postman. I mean, the rules don't change. Obviously, it's USDA
No.
or whatever.
Yeah.
But the amount of people, and I know Sandy will agree, the amount of people that have started buying from us since the pandemic started has been insane. I mean, it's a wonderful, wonderful thing for us as farmers because it's keeping us going. It's keeping us from not having things to sell or having meat sitting in the freezer, but it's making it crazy because we're
Yeah.
trying to fit everything in to get it butchered and have it ready for all these people that want the farm fresh meat because they've realized how much better it is than getting it from the store.
I think we're in the wrong business, Sarah. I think that we should open up a book. We should become.
I mean, one of the thoughts that I was thinking about is the heat, the rain, and the bugs this year. So
Yes.
how do you guys deal with that? I mean, I know that a lot of times people will go out very early in the morning or, just before dusk, but then you've got the bugs, the mosquitoes, the rain I mean, with my flower plants, it's rotted them. So I'm sure that has affected crops.
Yeah.
It has. I mean, for us, the rain has been really great only because it's been clear during the day. So everything's drying off enough from the heat that when it pours, however much has been pouring every other night, it seems, it's giving it that nutrient that it needs overnight when it's cool.
Good.
And then it's just taking off during the day.
How about your
Um,
crops,
and-
Sandy? What's going on with all
Well,
your?
and that's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
But for us, it makes it harder with the vegetable field because then you can't get out there to do the tilling and planting that you need because it's too
Right.
wet.
Right.
Yeah.
And then by the time you can get out there, it's 90 degrees outside and you don't want to be killing yourself with heat stroke. So it's been a difficult year for planting. We're actually way behind where we normally are this time of year. But if you can see the bigger plastic covered structure right here,
Mm-hmm.
that's our new high tunnel, which is going to be a big game changer for us next year and even this fall, which is going to help. But yeah, it's been a really difficult year. And I know Jen will agree, the mud is epic and it
Oh,
is
yeah.
not helping.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
anything.
Yeah.
You
Between,
touched on that, Sandy. You touched on the equipment. Getting the
Yeah.
equipment through. And
Oh my goodness, Aaliyah, I have a story for you on equipment. And I don't know about you, Jen, we ordered our new tractor. We ordered a new tractor this year. We're upgrading from 22.5 horsepower to 55.5 horsepower. We ordered this tractor on May 6th. I put the deposit on it. Today is what, July 20th?
Mm-hmm.
having
No
that.
tractor.
Well, I
Yeah.
think supply. The supply chain.
It is a supply issue. Yeah, 100%.
It's gonna affect you. And then now, what do you put? Forget again. I'm only gonna assume that you put the same fuel in it that you put in a lawnmower. I'm probably wrong. And then
We use diesel fuel.
Okay.
Diesel fuel goes in
I'm
the tractor.
assuming that diesel fuel has
Gone up.
as well.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm glad that you brought up the equipment. It's like people don't understand. It's like you're doing things by hand, like milking cows, and you know, I know on big farms they have the machine milkers and all that kind of stuff. And you know, but even so, somebody has to hook all that up. Like, first of all, it breaks down. Like, are you guys doing the maintenance on that? Do you have to hire someone? Yes, and yes, right? All of the above, right?
Yep.
And then
Yeah,
like,
I have a friend who ordered parts for equipment back in January that still does not have her parts.
Oh my
then
gosh.
so then
And
what
then you know what's crazy is it's the same thing with chicks. Like
Yeah.
we buy our broiler chicks as day olds from
Yep.
different hatcheries, and we have a group that's ready to go next week to be butchered, but you can't get them anywhere. I had them shipped in from Ohio,
wow.
which
That's
I've
why
never
we
So
had
the
to do
supply
before.
chain of animals even
Yes.
is
And that's why we didn't
Right.
do meat birds this year, because I figured if I needed poultry, I would just get it from Jen, knowing that she does larger batches than we ever did. And I would just send my husband over there to help her on chicken killing day.
That
Yeah,
sounds like a fun
right
event.
on chicken killing
Oh,
day.
Listen,
yeah,
you
Brings
have no
back so
idea.
many bad memories as a
crock
child.
pots for lunch.
I
Yeah,
can't even.
crock pots for lunch and dinner. Everybody comes to help. Everybody gets fed. It makes it for a really great day.
I'll come work on the farm, but I'm not coming on chicken killing day. I can tell you that right
No,
now,
listen,
Jen.
I've
You know
already
what?
said-
I'll make the biscuits or make the tea or whatever, but
For
I am
sure,
not
we'll
coming to
bring
kill
the
no
food.
chicken.
No, I already said for Isabella, for my daughter, any boy that wants to date her has to make it through chicken killing day, because guess what? She can, no problems.
That's right.
I've never.
Let's talk
Go ahead.
about Isabella real quick. Isabella had some great stuff. Isabella was on before. She was, I want to say it right. She was, when she was here, she was Monroe County's
Yes.
Miss Agriculture, Junior Miss Agriculture.
Oh,
Yes.
that's
When
amazing.
he was here, but something big has happened since. Sandy, you want to tell everybody what Isabella has accomplished?
Yes. So we did a virtual Miss United States Agriculture pageant a couple weeks ago, and she is now officially the Pennsylvania Junior Miss United States Agriculture. So she holds a state title. This is her county title. She also raised enough money. I raised enough money in sponsorships for her that she is the Eastern Regional Cover Miss. So she is on the cover of the Eastern Region, or I'm sorry, the Pennsylvania program for this year's Miss USA Ag, Pennsylvania Miss USA Ag pageant. And then she had enough advocacy points, and that's from farm visits and her involvement with local agriculture, that she is also Pennsylvania's I always screw this one up, agriculture advocate. So she now has three titles and 3 crowns. And we hope to do a lot of farm visits this year, including Jen's, so that she can continue her advocacy throughout the state. And then she will be competing in Orlando in June of 2022 for a national title. Lord help me, because I am no pageant mom.
I'm glad that you brought. Oh, go ahead, Jen.
As one of her 4-H leaders, I am extremely proud of the accomplishment.
My mom, our mom was in 4-H. Our mom was
Jen
a
was
4-H
one of the
girl.
first people I texted when we got her new title stuff. I was like, Jen, look.
That's amazing. Congratulations. That's amazing. So I'm glad that you brought that up, because now we can talk about the show side of this business, either with people like being Miss Agriculture or whatever, but then we have the animals that I'm sure that you take, and like you said, you're washing, clipping, like, now tell me a little bit about, like, where does that happen? How long does it, what's the criteria? Let's just pick cows, I guess. Like, let's start with the cows.
Jen, I'll let you.
You can
take
tell that
criteria.
Aaliyah's a
I'm not
city
good.
girl.
I'm
So
not good on criteria, but the washing, the blowing, the clipping, I mean,
Sounds like a
Blowing, I'm assuming is blow dry.
well,
yeah.
it's basically a huge blow dryer. So the show cattle get tied up. I mean, ideally it's daily, but it's kind of like as you have time, as frequently as you can, particularly the calves. They get tied up. They learn how to stand tied on a lead rope. They learn how to walk on a halter. They get washed, or at least rinsed, hopefully again daily. They will get blown as needed. They'll get clipped and trimmed and prettied up, oiled and
how far in
striped.
advance? How far in advance do you start training them, clipping them, washing them, oiling them?
Oh my goodness.
Months.
Well, we started tying calves up in
May, right? No,
May.
before that.
Well,
May.
no, before
So-
that, because we had that show in June
Yeah.
and we thought we were taking a calf. So April, I think we started tying up babies in April this year. It really just depends on when your first show of the year is, when you
Oh,
want
so
to
they
get
go
those
all
calves.
they go all year long. There's no show season.
Yeah, no, I mean, we have a show this weekend at Plainfield Farmers Fair, and then Jen and I, our farms will both be at New Jersey State Fair, August 7th, Jen?
Yep. Yep,
Yeah, the
August
weekend of
7th.
August 7th.
And then
And
we
then
have
we will have West End Fair, 2 weeks later, I believe it is. We'll be there for the whole week. All of us will be there, which is a really fun week for all of us. And then we are heading to, where am I going, Jen? New York State
Big-
Fair?
Are you no, I'm not going to New York. I'm going up to Massachusetts though.
You're going, well, no, New York is first. New York is Labor
Yep.
Day weekend. We will be
So
at the New
I
York State
want
Fair.
to know. So
And then we'll
how do
all
you
be at
get
the
all
Big
that
E in
in?
New England in September.
How do you get
Yep.
all that in? Because you're working full time, you have children, you're working your farm, you're doing all the things, making sure the fences are clipped and making the cows are clipped, the fences are closed. You know, you're selling, you're making scheduling with the butchering. First of all, when do you all sleep?
We drink
Never.
a lot of beer, Aaliyah.
This is a true statement.
It's not a lie. You
Tales
just,
from the farm. Drink
you
the
just,
list.
you just
Oh.
do it. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah, you just go. You
It's
just
a
you
whole
have a
other
drive.
set of, it's like a whole other, because your farmer animals, I know that they get butchered and but still they're like, you have to tend to them and care for them and it takes time. I mean, I'm exhausted. Just I might need a beer after this, and I don't drink. But, you know, like it's just a lot, because I think about my daily life, you know, with the kid in the house and the house cleaning or whatever. I mean, I'm not mucking out a stall. You know, I don't have to like finish this and then go do that.
I think they muck out more than one stall,
well,
right, ladies?
I will tell you though, and I don't know about Jen, again, I put my kid to work now. She's 11, so she can help with dishes and she can help with picking up around the house. And when her and Josh are out doing stuff in the barn, Saturday mornings are my time to do my housework. And I have got a routine. I can blow through from the upstairs to the downstairs in about an hour and 20. We do laundry pretty much every day. We do dishes pretty much every day. But once you get that bit down, you can actually have like, I wouldn't eat off my floors, but they're, you know, yeah, we have dogs. We have 3 dogs. It's a farm, but you just
do it.
make the time. Yeah, you just
Yeah.
do it. You just,
With
okay,
the
I have to go do this. You just fit it in.
So,
It's a passion.
going back to
Make
the
it
barn,
work.
because I know the size of your barn, Sandy. I've been to your property, so I kind of have a mental picture, and I have not been to Jen, which I'm going to have to come and see that. I'm going to have to come and meet Elmer. What is your, okay, thank you for the visual. So you have a lot of outbuildings, I'm assuming.
Yes.
Chickens and what, you know, and
Yep. Yep. The birds are.
everybody has a house.
Yep. Yeah. The birds are here. And then they have they have their own building that they can go inside. And then this building here it has a bay for the sheep to come in. And then we have all of our well, they're not young anymore. Our yearling cattle are on the other side here, and they can go into the barn as well. And then all of our adult females and their babies are on the other side of the property.
Guys,
No goats. Neither
then-
one of you
No,
have any
no
goats.
goats. No.
on top of everything else, you know,
stand goats,
scheduling
I'm
and
sorry.
maintenance and everything, and the rain and the mud, how do you guys keep out, like, I know you talked about coyotes. So I would imagine that it takes a lot of fencing, a lot of special.
Well, you have 3 dogs, right?
Yeah.
Right, Sandy?
Yeah, they don't really help with predators. It's the electric fence. It's like my chickens, unlike Jen's, my chickens don't live outside. My chickens live in the barn. And I
Okay.
think, Leah, you've probably seen them. And Holly, I know you've seen them. They live in the barn because it's just our laying hens. And then, you know, obviously our cattle, just like Jen's, they have their paddock here that's back here, which I can't zoom on, but the electric fence gets them. And when we have meat birds like Jen has, we usually run one wire of electric on the outside of the meat bird pen, low to the ground, so that
You ever
a
have
fox, a
human
mink, a
predators?
fisher cat, they put
Yes.
their nose on it, they zap it. What?
You've had human predator, like I know animals and things like that. I'm just curious, is like people tried to come on and taken anything? I'm just curious.
We've
Um,
never had any. I don't know about you, Sandy. We've never have anything been taken, but
No.
our property, we have a lane that goes all the way through, all the way up to the top, and on the back side of our property through the woods is a development. Well, people think this is an access road, so we'll have people that come in the middle of the night, or we'll have people that come flying in here 40 miles an hour out of nowhere, or driving through the hay fields. And when you take hay down, I mean, that's money lost, or that's food lost for the animals. So,
Right.
You think people just get disoriented, or they've been drinking, or they're just like, let's just take a joyride, or
probably all of the above.
it would never
Yeah,
occur to me to drive through a
people
cornfield. So that's a PSA. It's like, don't do it, because
No.
it's very not fair to the the
I will
farmers.
tell you, Aaliyah, the other night, somebody who shall remain nameless left the gate open for my horse, and she was out for God knows how long. There was two ladies in a truck that drove past our property late at night. They said they came back the next day and said, "Oh, hey, did you catch your horse?" And we're like, "Why didn't you knock on the door? If you see a loose animal somewhere, just knock on the closest door and say, 'Hey, is that yours?'"
I do
Exactly.
know that in the area there are quite a few rather large pigs that get loose every
Guess
once
who
in a
just
while.
got
There are.
hungry?
Really? This is news to me. This is newsflash.
Agriculture.
Mhm.
Oh my God, they get loose?
Yeah,
Yep.
you see it
Oh,
on
I'm
Facebook.
sorry.
You see a picture of a pig kind of meandering down the road because he's on a mission
Pigs
to go
are the
somewhere.
worst.
And
They
So
put it on the lost animal page on Facebook. There will
Yep.
be people that post the pigs that are walking around. Yep.
Well, I
We
find
have
it
somebody
interesting
corn, I love
on
that
West.
corn house behind you, the corn. Do you have a corn silo?
It's
I
this
don't.
is it's called a corn crib.
A corn crib, yeah.
Yep. So it's like a
That's
big
so cool.
crib, and it holds all of our corn, and then we grind that for the cows.
Do you have to worry about, like, locally? I know every state is different, or every area is different. Like, we have the actual animal predators. We have people that do stupid things. Do you have to worry about, like, my mom and I were talking about the cicada. She thinks she saw one today. So do you have to worry? Is there a particular bug that goes after your animals, or I mean, I know that this might be an ignorant question, but like, are animals affected by the, with all the, I know that animals get flies and cows get flies and stuff, but is there a particular thing that can spread a disease to an animal that could just take out your whole
I mean,
herd?
I
There's
know
so many.
animal-wise, mosquitoes are probably the worst.
Yeah, okay.
I think Sandy probably deals with more bug issues with the vegetables than we do.
Mhm.
Yep.
What
Slugs.
do you do for the mosquitoes?
We have a pour on that we put on, like, all my cows, all my sheep, they get like a pour on. You just drip it down the top of their back. And we do it right now, we do it about every month because it's so hot.
What do you do
And
for
that-
your
Do it over your head.
vegetables? What do you do for your vegetables, Sandy, in terms of bugs and slugs? Oh, she's talking. What do you do for slugs, Sandy, to keep the slugs away?
Sorry, I missed that one. My
That's
child.
okay.
was
What do
right
you do to
here.
keep the slugs away from your vegetables? Sarah wanted to know.
We throw a lot of beer cans out in the vegetable field.
There's
Yeah,
a
they
beer
like
theme.
that.
There's
They
a
like
beer
the beer.
theme. I think we need to
That's
have
from my
a.
grandfather, from my grandpa Trowina. He always put beer cans in his vegetable garden with a couple sips of beer left in it, and the slugs will crawl in and
That
die. But
It's interesting. I did not know that.
we don't treat our vegetable field with pesticides if we can
Okay.
avoid it. We are
Okay.
not an organic farm. We never advertise as an organic farm. We are all natural. However, eggplant plants in particular have a mite that go after the leaves. And when the leaves get destroyed, the plant is putting a lot of energy into regrowing its leaves versus actually growing eggplants.
Makes sense.
So we will spray the eggplant plants, but Josh uses an organically approved pesticide for that because, again, we don't like to use a lot of stuff if we can avoid it.
Yeah.
Although I will say organic is kind of a buzzword, and Jen can attest to this. It's something for companies to make money off of. Organic is almost impossible in its to be 100% organic is almost impossible. The certification you have to get costs
I
an
was just
obscene
gonna
amount of money.
say what, yeah.
Yeah, you
Okay,
need
so
like a
and what
lawyer.
people probably don't realize is that even if you're not organic, I am sure you guys are regulated. Is it the US, like what is that USDA? Like what regulates a farm?
For vegetables, it's a little bit different than it is for meats. With, like Jen said, with our beef, everything goes through a USDA butcher. With the vegetables, we're allowed to sell it in its raw form without any kind of special permits or inspections. If we were a certified organic farm, then we would, I believe, and again, Jen can correct me if I'm wrong, have to report that every year, what we use and how we use it and how often we applied it. You'd have to have your pesticide application, applicator's license for all of that stuff. Because we don't do that and we don't typically treat, we're an all natural farm. Our fertilizer comes out of our barn and our animals. He tills everything with a walk behind tiller at this point. We plant everything by hand. All of our plants are started from seed in a greenhouse with, commercially available grow mix. There's nothing magical going on here per se, but we want people to think about it when they're going to the grocery store and they're paying $4 for a bell pepper because it's organic. Remember that the farm down the street grew the same bell pepper and it's $1.
Right.
How do you feel about that,
You
Jen?
can come here and see
That's
Are
yep,
you of
and
the
it's
same
the same
mindset?
thing with the meat too. I mean, we've had people ask us, "Are you organic?" And the answer for them is always no, we're not organic, but we do all natural and we consider them homegrown, which means that there's no antibiotics in their meat. They live a very good life. I mean, people always tell us that they see them, happier than my kids some days because they have everything that they need. And that to me is what helps us sell what we have. It
And I
doesn't
think
matter.
being humane, being as humane as possible. I mean, obviously, I know that you kill. We all know where it comes from. If you can't get past that, then maybe meat's not the choice for you. You know what I mean? But in
Right.
terms of that, as long as they're humanely, kept, obviously, and you try to keep the stuff. So how has COVID? I know, Jen, were you selling the meat prior, or you're starting that on the 24th, correct?
We've been selling meat, but we are now going to actually have a on-site store here at the farm, starting on Saturday.
So has, trying to scheduling the butcher, getting, because what I'm surmising from this conversation is that there's just not a lot of butchers out there. There's just not a lot of people that are professional butchers or places.
Not a lot of USDA butchers.
Correct, USDA.
So here's a career move for some young man that's not sure what they want to do with their life.
Or young lady.
Or lady.
We know,
That's right.
we know female butchers.
I'll cut
or
meat
ladies,
right
yes.
next,
Anybody
I'll cut
that's
meat
looking
right
for a
next
career.
to the best of them.
Yeah. Then that might be a career. But how is the prices then? And it might be different for you, Sandy, than it is for Jen, because Jen, you grow your own feed in the most cases, and Sandy, you have to, grow a little and stuff. What's the price differential before COVID? Because you have to pass that on, obviously. Has it been a big jump? I mean, when you go to the grocery store, obviously it's different.
Well, right. And that honestly is what to me is funny because our price hasn't changed.
Okay.
So when you look at the meat that goes to the store, you have the farmer that raises it, you have the middleman that is in charge of buying it from the farmer and then selling it to the grocery store. Then you have the grocery store that sells it. So that middleman is the person that's making the most money.
And all the transportation.
Yep.
And all the transportation too. Yeah.
Right. So all those costs get included into that, which is why you're paying $9 a pound for ground beef when you could come to a farm and get ground beef that has been raised out in a pasture. They've had the best life they could have. They're not locked in a pen somewhere. And you're paying $5 a pound.
Right.
And it's better. It's better for you. It looks better. It doesn't have that gray look that some of the meat does in the grocery stores. It's bright. It's red. I mean,
It doesn't have a smell.
Right. It does. It smells like meat.
Yeah.
I would assume that the smell is from any sort of chemicals that it's been treated
No,
with.
it's just from sitting, I think, isn't it,
Mhm.
Jen?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like an old meat.
Like
kind
that
of-
vacuum packed meat that some
Right.
stores sell.
And
Yeah.
that
You
was
open it up and it smells old.
Yeah, and that's something else I've said to a lot of my poultry customers is we do a lot of turkeys for Thanksgiving, and we'll have people that request a 30-pound bird because that's what size bird they buy at the grocery store. So you don't want a 30-pound bird because you're going to get from us 30 pounds of meat, and you're going to have more meat than you know what to do with because the birds in the store have been injected with water. They're blown up to look bigger than they actually are. And
Mhm.
the people that asked for those 30-pound birds, we gave them a 22 or 24-pound bird, and they still had meat left over.
Right.
They
Wow.
don't-
That's good to know.
I have to say that one of the things that irks me most is when if I buy pork and cook it and the pork has been butchered when the pig was in season. So it has that really nasty, sharp smell and taste.
Yep.
And I mean, if I know that, and I mean, my mom grew up on a farm and butchered and all of that stuff. But if I know that, I would think that the farmers or whoever is butchering them would know that that pig should not be butchered and sold.
So, okay, so she brought up an interesting point. I didn't know that there was a season to butcher a pig.
No,
It-
they're
Oh, in their life cycle. You mean in their
You don't
season?
want them to eat
Like in their gestational cycle.
Oh, I thought you said
They
I
emit, they
It's
emit a
kind of
lot
like
of
shooting a
hormones.
buck in rut.
okay.
A buck in rut is not going to taste as good as a buck out of rut.
Right, because all that testosterone will be in the meat.
Right. They get like the bucks in rut, they have like a funk. There's nothing wrong with it. It's still fine to
It just
eat. but
tastes
there's-
different.
Yeah.
Or they go gamey.
It's stronger.
I would assume. It's
Yeah.
gamey.
Right.
A little bit
It's the
gamey.
same reason we don't butcher, 5-6-year-old
Bulls,
bulls
often,
for
yeah.
steak. We'll
Right.
butcher them for ground
And
beef,
people
but
don't
Correct.
realize that on top of all your things that you're doing, you have to know this stuff.
Well, but
Yep,
farmers do.
Right. Like
sit
I
outside-
wouldn't I was like, I think I'm just gonna go open a farm. I mean, that would be like, I'm just gonna go be a farmer. I
I
wouldn't
will
miss the
tell
first
you, Aaliyah, the other morning I was sitting here having my morning coffee, just cruising Facebook, enjoying myself. It's 6 o'clock in the morning or whatever it was. And I noticed a cow in heat. So the text message to my husband was, "Hey, Yolanda is in season at 6 o'clock in the morning." Okay, first thing as soon as he gets home from work, run the cow up, get her bred, and get her back out. You have to watch for this stuff because if you don't want to chemically induce a cow to release an egg, you watch for the natural heat. But it's
Mhm.
just my husband knows more, and Jen, it's so funny. My husband knows more about the female reproductive system than most females do.
yeah,
this is very true. He does.
kind of have to know all those. They kind of have to know all those things.
And that's what I do at
when
night.
you
I
show
s-
these
Yep.
cows and stuff like that, do you just show the cows, or do you take the pigs and and Jen, do you take the chickens, or like if you went to West End Fair, do you just take the cows?
We'll have cows and the sheep. My daughter breeds rabbits, so she'll have her rabbits there.
Those are my favorite. I love the rabbits.
Rabbit that she breed, is it one of those big ones with the loppy ears? Oh my god.
No, they're
No.
mini Rexes.
Okay.
So they're like, I think her adults are probably 4.5 to 5 pounds.
Mm.
Aw,
They're
how
right.
cute.
They're like perfect lap size.
so cute.
We
I
just do
love
the
them.
cows. We're not.
How are rabbits
So
as
what
far
does
as
that-
pets?
so like-
Unless
West
somebody
End
wants to
Fair-
catch Ricky Bobby, and then I said if anybody catches Ricky Bobby, I will take him to the fair, but otherwise just the cows.
Ricky Bobby is her free range marauding rooster who lives in all over the place.
I wonder if he came in to live next door to me.
No, he's still here, I promise.
Do they travel that far?
I'm kidding.
Roosters,
I'm
they do
kidding.
what they want.
Big trip
They are-
for Ricky Bobby.
I can say that I know why they're used as an alarm clock. They
Yeah.
are very loud, especially when
Yeah.
there's more than one.
Yes, it's a
amazing-
competition.
It's amazing what we don't know because our family had a very large farm. Very large
They
farm.
did in
And
Tannersville.
Several
Raiders
generations.
had a very large farm.
So when you take the cows to West End Fair, is there a prize? Is there a cash prize? Like if you won, let's say first prize, I'm just going to assume that you're both going to win first. So is there a cash prize that comes
Yep.
with that?
Yep,
60
there's
bucks, I
fair
think, right?
premiums. Yeah, there's cash prizes for each class, and then we have a list as a fair of what we call special prizes. So we'll have an overall female, an overall bull, and different farms or businesses in the area will donate money towards that champion prize.
Wow.
So like
that's
our
really cool.
farm we donate, I think it's $50 for one of the overall female awards for the fair.
What's the most rewarding thing about this lifestyle? Because I mean, I don't know. Did you grow up on farm? Jen, you tell me. Did you grow up on a farm setting? And
Nope.
what?
Me neither.
How did it happen for you? And then I'll ask Sandy the same thing. Like little
So-
girl growing up, you're like, I want to go to the moon or whatever I want to do, and then you're on a farm. How did that all come about?
So I grew up outside of Philadelphia, and all I wanted to do was ride horses. So my parents got me the lessons. I was a very competitive equestrian for years. And then when I went to school to go to college, we looked at schools for equine science, things like that. And the money just wasn't there. So I knew that when I'd get out of college, I was not going to be able to sustain a living for myself and or a family, you know, being a barn manager at a horse farm or something like that. So when I went to school, I went for large animal science, which encompasses all of the farm animals that you could think of. And my intent originally was to go to vet school. But then I met my wonderful husband who had a beef farm here in the Poconos. And I said, well, I'm going to get married instead of going to vet school, which honestly has been a godsend because I live 10 minutes from my job. I'm able to get here if there's an emergency. And the biggest thing for me is seeing my kids, the next generation, following in the footsteps of wanting to do every part of this. That is the
Great.
most important thing to me.
And I think it's really great for kids to see where food comes from. It's not something you just go pick up in a tray I mean, we are lucky enough to live down the street from a butcher, so it's a little bit closer to home, you know, or not a butcher, you know, a
Meat market.
A meat market. A little bit closer to that. But I think it's important for children to grow up kind of knowing, like, you know, milk comes from cows, eggs comes from chickens. This is how kind of we do it. Sandy, answer the same question. How did this happen?
So it's weirdly similar to Jen's story. I grew up in East Stroudsburg, up in Wooddale. My family had basically zero roots in agriculture. My grandfather loved anything to do with farming, but they lived in Jersey. I too fell in love with horses, and eventually my parents did buy me one. And I also was a competitive horseback rider. I still have the same horse, Holly's Metter. Aaliyah, I think you heard. And I was married previously. My first husband passed away when my daughter was 5. And I had to you kind of just enter a rebuilding part of your life at that point. Josh and I had known each other since high school. And I always kind of thought to myself, you know, we might get along okay. He's got these cows and I've got this horse, and he won't complain if my boots smell like poo. And
It's a plus.
yeah, and he was going through some stuff and I was going through some stuff, and, you know, and we went out for drinks one night. And we started dating, and then we moved in together, and then we bought the farm together because we wanted to consolidate animals. My horse was in Long Pond, the cows were in Bangor. He wanted to do this with the vegetables.
Right.
And we got very, very, very lucky that this farm was on the market in a price point that we could afford at that time. And it just fits. And
Yeah.
to Jen's point, being able to have my daughter grow up in this environment that she would not have grown up in had my first husband lived. And don't get me wrong, I think if he hadn't died, we would have been perfectly happy. But I look at everything that's happened as just, you know, everybody said, oh, God has a plan, God has a plan. And you kind of want to go, okay, but I had plans. But it's kind of true, because I wouldn't be here. We wouldn't be here. I wouldn't probably have met Jen through this agricultural community. And I love that my child is growing up in an environment with other kids that do what she does and live like she does and learns what she learns. And I think it's so important, to your point, that they know where their food comes from, that they understand the work that goes into it. She, like Jen's kids, she helps feed and water and picks eggs and helps on chicken butchering days, and she helps in the vegetable field, and they do all of that stuff.
She does her
And,
chores.
That's right.
Like on Little House on the Prairie, do your chores.
Yep.
Do your chores. I love that show.
I know that
So what would
Isabella.
you say?
I
Oh, go
have a
ahead, Holly.
question. I know that Isabella shows the steer. Like she goes out and she does it. Jen, do your kids do the same kind of showing that Isabella does?
Yep. And my daughter, my oldest, Abby, is not, she's not as much of, not that Isabella's a girly girl, but like Abby's the last one that's going to wear a crown for anything. But she's a very intelligent person and she loves to write. So she decided she was going to enter essay contests, and she has
Awesome.
actually won 2 cows in the last year, or well, I guess it's a year and a
Wow.
half now. Yeah. So
That's a
that I think
wonderful
is really cool.
Cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
That's incredible.
Because I don't think people understand, because you might think that they just take the cows somewhere and sit them somewhere and people
Right.
come along and look at them. That's not what happens.
No, like these guys, my girls, especially, my son's only 7. He's the youngest. So he's still getting his confidence to where it needs to be able to manage a 700-800 pound animal. But he
Yeah.
tries, he really does. The girls are more into it. And just like Isabella, I mean, they're down here every night. My oldest has a steer that she's going to sell at the farm show in January. And she has to feed him twice a day. She has to weigh the feed out twice a day to make sure he's getting exactly what he needs based on
Wow.
how heavy he is. And then they get walked. And like Sandy said, they get washed. And, you know, some days it's only a rinse. Some days
Yep.
it's a brush.
Gosh,
Depending
and
on
my
everything.
husband won't even let us have a dog.
You don't want to
But-
see my dogs right now, Elaine.
But
Right.
they also actually show them, like if you think of Westminster Abbey, where they like Westminster dog,
They go around the
they, like,
circle.
go around-
Yeah.
Right.
these kids are doing that with a huge steer.
That's amazing.
It's scary. It's
Yeah.
scary as a mom. I know it. Jen probably feels the same way. I know how my mom felt now when I first started showing horses, just letting,
Yeah.
and I was 15. But
Wow.
to the first year at Farm Show, 2020 was Isabella's first year at Farm Show, and
Yes.
I think Abby had done it the year before for her first year. It is the scariest thing on the planet to watch your tiny little child walk in there with an animal that outweighs them by hundreds of pounds
Yep.
and get it done. And it's
Sarah, do
very,
you know how to ride
very
a
impressive.
Holly does?
Huh?
What?
Sarah, do you know how to ride a horse?
Yes.
Yes. And Holly, it's been a while, but I know you know how.
Right.
I've
I
never
used to
been on a
have
horse.
horses. I had to muck the stalls every
Yeah.
day. I mean,
I've
that
never
was,
been on a
I
horse.
loved it.
Never
Oh.
been on one.
It's the most
get
I got
amazing
kicked in the
feeling ever.
face by one.
But it's
When I was
scary
little.
as a parent. It's
I'm
really
sure.
scary to watch your kids go in there and know that things could go sideways. And it's,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a worrier. My husband just goes, "Oh, it'll be fine," while I'm over here like needing a Xanax or something.
Yeah, moms
Dear-
moms have a different take on that. I get it. I have a 7-year-old. I get it. Yeah.
Do you remember when, Sandy, do you remember when Abby's heifer went flying across the ring because she was afraid of the pom-poms at the photographer?
Yes. And do you remember, were you at New Jersey the year that lady as a calf freaked out when they went to give Isabella the ribbon and dragged her
Yep.
halfway across the ring at the photo backdrop as the
Yep.
cow
And we
captain?
all stand there gritting our teeth, just waiting to see who's going out to help first.
Good
And we
lesson
just
and
go-
to know that anything can happen at any time because these are animals. They're not
It's
they're
livestock.
unpredictable.
They
No
have
matter
a
how-
mind of their own.
They have a
Yeah.
mind of their own, no matter how
They
much
have
you
a
take care of
brain.
them. Yeah,
I
exactly.
was kicked in the face by a horse when I was about Isabella's age. And
It's
I'll
just
never forget my mother watching as they were cauterizing the stuff inside my mouth. And she passed out like in the corner while they're doing all this surgery.
Holly
But
you used to take lessons at Meadowbrook. I don't even think that place exists anymore.
It doesn't because it burnt down, but my sister used to take lessons at Meadowbrook, as a matter of fact. My older sister
I
did.
spent so much time at Meadowbrook, it was ridiculous.
Yeah, lots of
I
time.
was
With
in-
Nancy Stafford. With
Mhm.
Nancy Stafford. She used to
Yeah,
do
that was a
all the
long time
lessons
ago.
over there. Yep.
So it has been, we only have 4 minutes left. It has been amazing talking to you guys because I think it's something that, number one, we take for granted sometimes if we're not in that life, if we don't live near one, if we're not friends with a farmer, or in that kind of thing. And I think it's nice for people to know what a day in a life is like, what the life is like. It's real. It's not like Little House. I use Little House on the Prairie as my reference for a farm. It's not like that. It is, we only know cultural references if we don't know, and also with all of the things, the weather, the supply chain of fuel, the fuel, like you're waiting for parts building a spot maybe that you don't have on your property to sell the meat. I don't know if you're building, Jennifer, from the or if you're using an existing building, and supplies are so expensive. So even in the best of times, and then now you have probably a new influx of customers. Do you feel like you have, in the last question I have, do you feel like people are coming to you more now, sort of kind of like, well, it's so expensive at the store. I have a big family. I don't want the antibiotics. I don't want any of these things. I want to know where my meat comes from. Do you feel like you've had more customers since what's gone on?
Yes, I have. And Sandy, I don't know if this is the case for you, but I feel like some of the new customers we started getting once COVID started, they are now coming back, but they are coming back with their neighbors, or
Yeah,
they're
with friends.
recommending us to friends. And it's just, we don't know who's coming in the driveway some days.
Right.
And it's just people, looking to see what we have, or asking if they could order this or order that. And it's, that part is fantastic.
Yes. Bulk beef has become a lot more popular. We do a 40-pound beef box, and I used to have to sit on that, and since COVID, I can move 40 pounds. I can move an entire steer's worth of 40-pound beef boxes in a day, which I couldn't do. But it's fantastic.
If I wanted to come and buy from you, what would be the hours that I would come? Do you have set hours?
So our hours at this point are Monday through Friday, 4 to 6 p.m. I believe it is. That's our summer hours. And then weekends are generally 10 to 4. They are posted on our Facebook page at Cherry Valley Farm. If we are not going to be here, I do post that as well. If we are at a cattle show, if we are just happen to be, like we were on vacation 2 weeks ago, I posted that as well. But yeah, generally 4 to 7 p.m. during the week. That is summer hours. It does change in the wintertime because of the amount of daylight that we have. And obviously vegetables are not quite as available in the wintertime, although again, high tunnel is going to change that for us. And then weekends usually 10 to 4.
And what about you, Jen? How can people, what are your hours? And then in the Facebook, in the feed, underneath this show, go ahead and put all of your stuff, how people can get in touch with you, your Facebook pages and all that, your hours. I know on the 24th, you're going to be opening up your farm store, but in the meantime, how can people, the 24th is what? Today is
Saturday.
Okay.
Yep.
Saturday.
So our farm store is going to have regular hours on Saturday and Wednesdays from 8 to 1. And then any day outside of that is just going to be by appointment. So on our Facebook page my cell phone number is listed, as well as messaging through our Facebook page. Like I respond within an hour on most days, unless we're away, which is very.
You guys are amazing. I'm never going to complain again about cleaning out the cat's pan, cleaning my house, cleaning out after my cat, or anything else after listening to you guys. Are really amazing, and we appreciate you. You're farmtastic. You need to get t-shirts. We need to get a campaign going.
T-shirts. Why didn't we think of that?
Elmer needs farmtastic.
I have bought plants and vegetables from Sandy's farm stand over time, and it's always been absolutely fabulous. The zucchini that she has when it's in season is like huge, like huge.
That's amazing.
So it's coming, Holly. It's coming. I was checking them.
I'm gonna have to be down. I need zucchini to make zucchini bread. So
she likes a very large zucchini, Sandy. She likes it large, so you gotta
like it big, Aaliyah.
She likes it big, Sandy. You guys are fantastic, women farmers. You guys are the salt of the earth. We appreciate you so much, and you guys are local, so support a farmer. Get on these pages. Grab your eggs if you like eggs or meat, because you don't have to be a beef lover. If you those roaster, Jen, you're speaking to my heart when you say roaster chicken. I just can smell it. It's just delicious. So support your farmers.
Family Julia Child, so she can make a hell of a chicken.
And Leah, you could get a chicken from Jen, and we're pulling fresh garlic this week. So
oh yeah. Oh, I can feel it. I'm gonna load that
vegetables right there.
I know it's it's hard to believe, but we have used up our hour, and it has been so fun talking to Sandy and Jen respectively from Cherry Valley Farm and Jackson View Farm. Make sure to check them out here in the Poconos. If you live outside the Poconos, check out your local farm. Everybody has them. There are urban farms, there are rural farms, there are farm stands all over the place, and farmers markets. So like, look it up, check it out, and head out there to buy your meat and poultry and eggs and flowers and plants and Christmas wreaths, you name it, you can get it through these absolutely wonderful farmers that are all over the place. So check that out. We need to thank our sponsor, brokersrealty.com of Stroudsburg. They bring us to you every week. We always have fun and they make it happen. So if you need to buy, sell, rent, or auction off your property, make sure you check out brokersrealty.com of Stroudsburg. We are actually going on our summer hiatus, guys. So it's going to be a couple weeks before we're back. Check out our Facebook page to see what's coming up. We will see you soon. We hope everybody has a healthy and happy summertime vacation. Bye.